Okay. So first one is the research methodology. These are the, you can say, vertical triangle where it is also called as Bloom's taxonomy. So last stage is the stage where you want to reach. That means where you want to create knowledge, right? Whenever you are writing an article, obviously you cannot publish, or you cannot write an article which is already the idea which is already available in the literature, right? So you have to create some newer technology or newer ideas. So that is the last stage of the Bloom's taxonomy. For that, you have to go through these are the stages which you have to go through before finally creating your own idea or your own methodology, right? So you can say that remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating, right? So first, whenever you select some of the topic in which you want to do the research, so you will remember some of the critical formulas. Then you will understand the concepts. Then you will apply the concepts in the same domain. Then you will analyze the results, and then you can also evaluate what sort of results you are getting, and what can be the possible results if you twist some of the parameters. You can also evaluate in this way. And last one is creating. Like suppose if you have created some of the algorithm for sorting, you can create different kinds of algorithm as well for sorting of the number either in increasing or decreasing manner. The sorting can be done in various algorithm, right? So you can select the best algorithm which requires least amount of time. So that can be one of the criteria, for example, right? For example, the power electronics that we have seen various topologies, right? Various circuit configurations. You can create some configurations for some applications which are having the maximum efficiency, right? Efficiency of that is maximum. So this is the last stage is creating. Do not directly go for creating your own new idea. So what is the motive of including this slide is that once you've fixed the area, or let us suppose your guide has given you, or your you can say supervisor has given you any area that you want to work, that you will work, then you have to start from the basic, right? And last state is creating. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of writing a technical paper? Just give me a second. Okay. The purpose of writing, the purpose of scientific writing is to communicate new scientific ideas and findings, right? So suppose if you have done some experiment or some coding for which you are having the better performance of any system, then you can write and publish that new findings. The findings discovered in research is the foundation. It is important to develop the ability to use those findings to advance the world's knowledge, right? So whatever research you are doing or whatever work you are doing, if it is doing the advancement in the you can say current scenario, then obviously you can go for technical writing. Now layout of the manuscript, generally what layouts are there. So the paper or article should have the title. We will discuss all of this in detail as well. So I will just give you what are the different you can sections of the articles are, right? That you will find in every article, whether it is conference or whether it is journal publication, right? So the layouts is common for both conference and journals by far, right? So it will be started by the title. Then we will be having abstract. We will discuss what are those, how to write abstract and title in the coming slides. Then we will have introduction. In title, what you will do, you will give the appropriate name of your article. Suppose if you have done the work on improving the efficiency, so you can give the title that you have improved an improved efficiency or an improved algorithm. Like that, you can give the title, right? We will discuss how to write a title as well. Followed by the abstract. Abstract will contain what work you have done. Again, we will discuss this, followed by the introduction. In introduction, it will be a brief overview of the previous work which has been carried out. Then we will be having technical contents where you will be discussing about your methodology, how you have reached to that algorithm, what changes you have done. That will be discussed in the technical contents. Then if you are having results and discussions, some simulation results, some coding results, some efficiency, some charts in form of anything or in form of any data, so that will be included in results and discussion. Then we will be having acknowledgement. If some person helped you or if some institution helped you, you can give their acknowledgement in that. Then we will be having appendix and then references. So references is very important. This references, the 90% or 100% of the references are introduced in the introduction. How or why? Let us suppose you are having or you are writing the paper in machine learning, right? For improvement of the transfer functions. You might have seen in this transfer function in our previous lecture as well, right? And you have generated your own transfer function which is improving the efficiency for some system, right? So you have to give some of the, let us say, 10 to 25 work of the previous researchers, those who have done, those who are matching your, you can say those who are matching your content, right? And you will give what work they have done, how much efficiency they have reached or found, and once you write regarding them and how you can read from it, how you can get this paper, you can definitely search on the IEEE website. Once you search it, there will be, as we have already seen, there will be various conference and journal publications which are available. You can go through them and then you can cite them and you can give their references in this square form, and same references, same thing you can include in the last, that is reference section, right? So whatever previous work that has been done till now, that will be included in introduction, and the reference for that or who has carried out that work will be given in the reference section, right? So these generally this is the layout of the conference or journal publication. It consists of title, abstract, introduction, technical contents, results and discussions, acknowledgement, appendix, and references. Apart from this, you will also have figures and tables, obviously. Just a second. So we will be also having figures and tables. So you can see figures and tables are also there. So suppose while doing the algorithm or while performing any experiment, some results are there in form of figures. So you can include these figures, or if some complex methodologies are there, you can explain the algorithm in form of figure. That will be more useful. Also, similarly, tables can be also used, and there are proper format for figures and tables for suitable journals, right? Now, what is the structure of manuscript? So whatever we have seen, we will just see small definitions before going into the details how we can write these, right? So we will see some of the definitions. So what is title? Title means describing concisely and precisely the core contents of the manuscript, right? So that can be the title. For example, if you are doing the efficiency improvement of some power converter, you can write the improvement in the efficiency of the power converter. Like this title you can give. While you select the title, you should be absolutely sure that same title should not exist before, right? Otherwise, whenever someone writes your title, he will not be able to reach to your paper, right? So for that, what you need to do, once you decide the title, you can Google it, and that is the best way. And if nothing of that sort comes up, then you can select the title, suitable title, right? What is abstract? The definition is summarize the major elements of the manuscript, right? Whatever work or whatever algorithm you have performed, how it is better, you can include that in the abstract in a summarized manner. Introduction provides the rationale and background information about the subject matter, right? As we have, and raises the issues and state research objectives, as we have already discussed in introduction. Just a second. Okay, as we already discussed in the introduction, we will relate our work to the previous work, how our work is different from the previous work that we will state here in the introduction section. Technical contents. The main discussions of the subject matters broken down into parts. So suppose if you have developed some algorithm, so how you have reached to that algorithm, or how that algorithm helps you in getting certain better performance, that you can explain the technical contents. It may be either the mathematical explanation, or it may be also you can write in form of paragraphs, right? Results summarizes the findings without interpretation. Discussions interpret the findings of the study with comparison. So in discussion sections, you can compare your results, whatever you are getting, to the other paper. Again, the paper that you will introduce in the introduction section, the same how much efficiency or how much advancement they have received, or how your paper is, or how your algorithm is better in comparison to them, or in comparison with them, you can include that in the discussion section. Conclusion, it summarizes the research findings and meets the research objectives. So whatever you have said that you will achieve in the abstract, you have to write in the conclusion, that you have proved that whatever you have claimed has been successfully, you can say successfully, you have proved it, and you have also provided some results which you can say supports your claim, right? Because ultimately you are making a claim in the abstract that you will reach certain efficiency. So in conclusion, you can mention that. Next is acknowledgement. Give credit to those people who have helped in research. Apart from that, you can also help some, you can say, some funding agencies. I'm not sure whether you are having any funding agencies, or suppose if you are doing internship in the last year, and in the internship, if it requires to publish a paper, you can give the credits to the company in the acknowledgement section here as well, right? Then we will be having reference list. A reference list, as we have already discussed, this is related with the introduction section. Whatever work that you cite from the previous year, that you can cite in the reference, right? List all the scientific papers, books, and websites that you cited. Figures and tables, visual representation of the results or illustration of the concepts, right? So if it requires, figures and tables can also be included. I will suggest that you can include figures and tables. It will always support your paper. So the most important thing in the article, according to me, is the title. The title should be, you can say, very innovative, very catchy, right? So this should be paid a lot of importance. Then second one will be the abstract, because whenever you submit the article for publication in any journal, so the person who is reviewing your paper or article will firstly read the abstract, right? So in order to create the first impression, you have to write the abstract at pinpoint, right? So abstract should be given a lot of importance. Then third is the results for me. Whatever you have claimed in the abstract that you will do in this paper, that should be, you can say, supported well in the results section, right? So these three are, you can give priority, and the rest of the other things are in the same level. Obviously, acknowledgement is, there is no effort in putting the acknowledgement, but a lot of effort will also be required in writing the introduction part, because this is the lengthiest part in the paper, or this can be the lengthiest part, right? Where you have to gather the data which has been done before, right? So this can be a little time consuming as well, right? Because abstract you can write, because you know what algorithm you use, what accuracy you are getting, you can write it down in your own words, as well as you can also put some figures and results in the result section. But writing the introduction will take some amount of time and some amount of efforts, because you have to go through at least 10 to 30 papers, that too in the good level, and you have to understand somewhat, you have to understand 10 to 30 papers, so it will take some amount of time, right? So in this way, these are some of the contents of the articles. The title, now we will discuss each of the contents one by one, and how we can improve them. So first one is title. A good title is defined as the fewest possible words that adequately describe the contents of the manuscript, right? So you can see that the title should be not too long and not too short. In fact, it should be, you can say, summarized in 1 line or 2 lines, right? The title is extremely important and must be chosen with great care, as it will be read by thousands, whereas few will read the entire paper, right? So whenever you go to Google, you can do it after this lecture as well. Whenever you go to Google, and whenever you want to find any, you can say, any work of your interest, let us say machine learning in electric vehicle, then you will type the machine learning in electric vehicle, and what are the results that the Google will show, obviously, which is matching the maximum amount of percentage what you have written, right? So if machine learning in electric vehicle, if 100% met is there, so that will be first result that will be visible in the Google, right? So title should be, you can say, selected in a very appropriate manner. As I have already told you, you have to, so once you've decided the title, you should always Google the title, whether that is available or not. If the title is same title is available, you can change that title or modify that title, right? And title should be, you can say, it should not be too long and it should not be too short as well. Indexing and abstracting of the paper depends on the accuracy of the title. Indexing means once you Google it, so by your Googling where your paper will be or where your article will be in the search, that will depend on the title, right? How perfect your title is, because if you have written some paper and that paper is not readable or not accessible by other persons, then what is the use of writing a paper, right? You will not get the credit. So this title is writing title with precision and with it's very important. An improperly titled paper will get lost, as we have already discussed, and will never be read, right? Suppose if the title of the paper is too long, 3 or 4 lines, then it will never be shown in the Google, and it will be shown in the 2nd or 3rd page or maybe 4th page as well. And in that case, if it is not shown in the front page, or then no people will read it, or less people will access your paper, and then it will get lost. And the work that you have done, suppose if you have done a good work, right, a great work you have done, that is having the potential of changing something in your domain, right? Suppose you have invented or you have made your own algorithm which is having a better efficiency or better performance, then if you write that paper or article very well, then it will gain a lot of attention in the research community, a lot of attention, right? If you write a good paper, trust me, because all the things are available in Google, right? So a lot of people are working in the domain. Suppose if you're doing in machine learning, a lot of other people are also doing. And if you are able to come up with the novel idea that is having, you can say, of really good work, and you write a paper, and then it will be read by many persons, right? And obviously you will get a lot of recognition in the Google, right? So selection of a title is very important. For example, some of the titles from some of the papers I have included. For example, let us say, you can see the title of the paper, multi-level converters, a new breed of power converters. You can see the title, how short and crisp and precise this is. Multi-level converters, a new breed of power converters. A single phase 5-level inverter topology with switch fault tolerant capabilities, right? So this is the paper which is published by me in the again in the journal, that is IEEE journal, in 2017. So you can see what I've tried to include is I have proposed the configuration of an inverter which is having the fault tolerance capability. So you can see how much crisp this title is. Now, if you search this title in the Google, you will obviously find this. You will obviously find this title very easily, this paper very easily in the Google. Multi-level inverter topologies with reduced device count, right? You can see again very short and crisp, and whatever it has been done in the paper has been reflected in the title as well. Electric propulsion system for electric vehicular technology, a review, right? So these are some kinds of titles I have included here to show how to write the titles of any article. So do's and don'ts while writing the title. the title should neither be too short nor too long and to be meaningless. Obviously, waste words such as studies and investigations should not be used. Right? You should not use these such kind of words. Rather than you can shortly write the content of the title. What is the work that you have done? Syntax must be carefully considered. That is, word order must be should be carefully considered. It should be meaningful and deep and not general. The title should not be general. General in a sense like efficiency is increased. For example, algorithm for any system efficiency is increased or it will be increased. So it should not be a general title. You should be very on point. Right? The title should be on point. It should be concise, specific, and informative. That we already discussed. The title never contains abbreviations, short forms. It should never contain. It will also never contain chemical formulas if you're working in that biological or biomedical domain. Proprietary names or jargons. Right. The title should never contain all of these things. Rather, it should only contain what work you have done. Be very careful of the grammatical error due to the faulty words order, right? So if your title, if in itself in your title, if there is a grammar error, then obviously you can think what the other person will think for whom you are sending the your article to get reviewed, right? So he will directly reject the paper. Avoid the use of word using, right? So these are some of the, you can say, tried and tested methods which you can use while you are writing the title of an article. I will share the slides, so do not worry. Right? You can go through it later on. But if you write your own manuscript or own article, then it will become very handy for you. Next comes the abstract. So abstract can be defined as a summary of the information in the manuscript. So what work you have done, how you have improved the efficiency, by how much percent you have increased the efficiency, that can be included in the abstract. It is the fundamental importance that abstracts should be written very clearly and simply, right? It should not have any vague discussions. It should be very clear and concise, and it should not be too long, and also it should not be too short, right? So that should be abstract, right? Because abstract is the thing that most of the people will read. Let us suppose you have written some article, right? Let us suppose you have written some article and now it is in Google. So what? Let us suppose now I want to read your paper. So what I will do? Obviously, first I will read the title of the paper, and if I find the title is suitable for my domain, then I will read the abstract first. So abstract is again very important, and it should not have any vague discussions or vague conclusion. Again, abstract should be written very well written and very well to the point. It should be written, and whatever you write or claim in the abstract, you should obviously do the justice by providing suitable results in the results section, that you have achieved that much of efficiency, right? So in abstract also, an abstract can be defined as summary of the information in the manuscript. It is of fundamental importance that abstract should be abstract can be clearly and simply. It is the first and sometimes the only part read of the manuscript, right? First and sometimes only. That means if suppose some person is interested in reading your paper, he or she will read the abstract, and if he does not finds interest in your paper, then he will not read further on, right? It is very important. Sometimes the reviewer also does not have any interest in the entire paper. He will just read the abstract and made up his mind that he has to accept or reject the paper, right? So title and abstracts are most important thing in the manuscript or article. Manuscript means, what does manuscript means? So if a paper is not published, if it is still in a, you can say, editable form, that is what we call it as a manuscript, right? After publication, we call it as a article or paper, right? So that is why we have used manuscript word here, right? So abstract should be very well written and should be to the on point. Describe the purpose of the research, state the principle and conclusions. It is easier to write the abstract after the completion of paper, right? Obviously, suppose if you have any algorithm which is improving some efficiency or performance, again, then you can perform your experiments, you can put the results, you can write the introduction, and at last you can write the abstract. which summarizes the whole manuscript. Let's suppose if you are having the article of 6 page or 7 page, that the gist of 6 or 7 page can be included in the abstract. All right. So it can be also be written in the last. But this is the most important as far as the whole manuscript is concerned after the title part. Right. Common mistakes while people do or students do while writing an abstract. Abstract should neither be too long or too short, right? And perfect or abstract can be range from 200 words to 500 words, right? 200 to 500 words. If you write in this one paragraph, you write, that is sufficient. Too much background or description of the methodology, right? You should not give what has carried out in the background. You should only focus on your work, right? Background you should include in the introduction section, right? So you should not give the background and information in the abstract. Rather, you should focus on your own work, how you have improved the efficiency, what are the results that will be included. Also, you should not discuss much of the methodology because this will be discussed in the content section, right? Or the after the introduction, it will be discussed. Figures and images, you should not have any figures and images in the abstract. That is you can add in the other sections. Giving citations, obviously, citations you should not give. What is citation again? Suppose you have read some paper, other paper, right? You have read some other paper, and you like the concept of that paper, right? And you write the concept of that paper in your paper. So that in that way, you can give the citation of that paper in a square bracket form. You can write a number, and that number you can include in the reference part, right? But in abstract, you should never give citations because abstract is the place where you describe your own work, right? What you have done, what you have achieved in your experiment. So you should never give citations in the abstract. Use of abbreviations, so short forms generally it is avoided in the abstract part. So these are some of the common mistakes which are there in the abstract, which can be avoided or which should not be there, right? So these mistakes should not be there. Next is we have seen the title and we have also seen the abstract. Next, we will move to the introduction part. So it contains narrow background of the research topic, the papers that suppose if you are working in some domain, you will search similar articles or similar some papers in the similar domain, what work they have carried out. Let us suppose you can find out 10 to 25 papers, and you can create a list or bucket of that papers, and you can keep it in a folder. And one by one, each day you go through the papers, and year-wise, what I will recommend you to arrange it in year-wise. Suppose if you have if you are having 25 papers, so out of those 25 papers, 5 papers should be of the current year, last 2 to 3 years, and rest papers can be some papers can be the most outdated papers. Some papers like 2 or 3 papers can be 20 to 30 years old, what are from where the technology has started, and some of the papers are in the middle range, right? The introduction you should give the brief of all the papers. Just a second. In introduction, you should give the brief of all the work which has been done till now. It should be presented. It should present the nature and scope of the work, problem identifications, and investigated. Right. So in introduction, again, while you cite the other papers, you should cite what is the disadvantages of that paper. Or suppose if some other person has done the algorithm, so you should cite what is the disadvantage of that algorithm. If you are able to find the disadvantage, obviously if some advantages are there, obviously some disadvantages will also be there. So you have to find out what are the disadvantages or what are the shortcomings or limitations of certain papers that you're citing, and how your paper is better than theirs. So that will have an upper edge by writing the introduction paper, introduction section. Review of the pertinent literature. So again, 10 to 25 people that you will download from the website. You should do the review of the paper, how your work is better than the previous work. State the method of investigation. After you have done the review of 10 to 25 papers, then you will write how you will achieve your stated goal. Right? State the principles, results of the investigation. You can also include that in your paper, how much efficiency your algorithm is achieving. You can also state that. in this section. State principal conclusions suggested by the results. You can also use you can also state the principal conclusions which you will get, which are suggested by the results of the other papers, right? So in a way, you are doing the comparison, like you are citing the other papers, you are you're writing what they have done, and then you're writing the shortcomings of them, and then you're writing how your algorithm or how your work is better than their work. It should answer the purpose of research, problem identification, existing solutions, and proposed solutions with outcomes, right? So while reading the introduction, the person or the reviewer should come up with a certain amount of knowledge that why this paper is essential, right? How your paper is better as compared to the existing knowledge, right? So that is the way you can write an introduction, and an introduction can lie between 1 page to 3 pages. For example, 1 page to 3 pages, maximum 1 page to 3 pages. So maximum portion, as I have already discussed, that maximum amount of effort will be while writing an article will be gone towards writing the introduction, right? Though the person who is aware of the technology will not be interested in reading the introduction, but it is important for the newer person or newer researcher who has just started work in the same domain. So he will go, once he will read the introduction, then he will be aware of what are the technologies which have been evolved till now. So in an overview, what you should write in introduction, brief background from where the technology has evolved. Then you can cite some papers, obviously some previous papers from the same area. You can write what work they have done. Then you can cite what are the limitations of their work, and then you can also write how your work is better than their work in the introduction section. Common mistake: too much or too short information about the background. That is one of the unclear purpose. So while writing the introduction, why you are doing this work, you should obviously the reviewer should feel confident that why you are doing this work, right? So it should be purposeful. Confusing structured and ambiguous sentences, lengthy and unfocused literature review, or unfocused literature review. So unfocused literature review means, suppose if you have cited some of the paper, you have just written what work they have done. So that is unfocused, right? You have to write what work they have done and what are the limitations they are having, and on top of that, how your work is better than their work. Then only that is what is called as perfect citation. Improper or random citations. What does this mean? Suppose if you're writing an introduction section and you have taken some references from paper, so this paper should come first. So in reference section also this paper should come first. Then after that, the second reference should come second, and that should also come second in the reference section. It should not be in random order, like after one, it should not be 10th reference. So it should be in a serial order, and that all the citations should be in serially arranged in the reference section. So that could be one of the things. Then coming to the next section, that is technical sections. Just a second. So next, moving to the technical contents, organize the details and methods under the sections and subsections. So whatever, now here you have to showcase what work you have done and how you have reached to that efficiency, right? Either it can be in form of algorithms, or it can be in form of mathematical explanation, or it can be you can include various figures and tables in this section. So this section belongs to you, right? What work you have done and how you have reached to that particular level of efficiency, how much improvement you have done in the present work. So this is again the next, that is technical contents should be there. So organize the details and methods under the sections and subsections. If you are having different subsections, suppose if you are working on a system, you are improving the efficiency of system, then you can divide that system into the subsystem, and you can also have the subsection in the content section as well. Describe the experiment design and procedure in detail. Obviously, you can because here once the abstract and introduction has been done, so all the detailing has to be given here, how you are claiming that certain results. This part of the manuscript must be technically rich and precise so that it can be reproducible, right? So you have to give analytical as well as a theoretical way how you have reached to that certain level of improvement, right? So that if the other person is reading that, he can be able to assess or he can be able to reproduce the same thing. Suppose for some circuit topology, if I have power electronic topology, I have done some improvement, so I have to properly explain the working of that topology. Suppose it is DC to AC converter, right, or rectifier, or DC to DC converter. So I have to explain each and every steps why I have included that particular components or how it is important, so that other person who is reading that can able to reproduce. Why it is important to reproduce? Because it is important to reproduce because if other person is not able to reproduce it, then how will he improve it, right? So research work in this way only. Once you have improved something, then you have to showcase it. That will be in form of article, or it can also be in form of patents. And once it is in the public domain, the other person also tries to improve the efficiency, and this is how the research goes on. If the method is new, all the details must be provided. If the method has been previously published in a scientific journal, only the reference should be given with some identifications, obviously. If it is all new concept, then you have to provide from scratch. If it is if you are just improving some parts, then you can give the citations, and you can improve, and you can write the algorithm from where you have improved the efficiency. Questions such as how and how much must be answered and not left puzzled, right? So how much efficiency you have improved, or how much performance you have improved. So that this type of questions should be answered. So ultimately, whatever claim you have made, that should be perfectly answered in this technical contents. Methods used for statistical analysis must be mentioned, ordinary ones without comments, but advanced or unusual ones required in a literature citation. So statistical analysis by using charts, pie charts can be included here in order to showcase the superiority of your algorithm or superiority of your system. Common mistake in writing the contents: not presenting in-depth description of the methodology. That means, suppose if you have, though you have reached to some perfect results or improved efficiency, but you are not able to explain properly in the content section. So that can be one of the mistakes. And the reviewer who is reviewing your paper might reject your paper, right? So this is, you should explain very smartly how you have reached to that particular level of efficiency. Repetition of introduction information. So this is another common mistake. So suppose if something you have already mentioned in the introduction, you should not repeat it again and again in the technical contents, right? Rather, you should focus under the technical contents. You should always focus on your work. Then what verbatim? This should also be taken care of. Lack of technical representations of the contents. This can be one of the you can say limitations or the reasons for rejection of your manuscript, right? Deviating from the objectives, missing the proper flow. So objectives means whatever you have claimed in the abstract, you deviated from there and you try to prove something else. So that is also not, in order to increase the length of the paper. So that is also not true. Missing the proper flow. The whole manuscript should be in the proper flow, right? Randomly, the pieces should not pop up now and then, right? It should have a proper flow. It should be like a storytelling. And generally, in the technical contents, you should always focus on how you have reached to that suitable, you can say suitable efficiency or suitable improvement in the performance. In result section, presentation of the simulation and experimental and not discussion. So suppose if you have done some improvement, then you can showcase the results in the result section, either by the simulation or experimental. If at all your you can say system demands an experimental results, there are some system, for example, power electronics. Without the experimental results, there is no way to publish an article, right? So that is a drawback. But for machine learning students, those who are doing in machine learning image processing, so experimental results are not required. You can simply do the coding and do the simulation analysis, by any tool. It can be MATLAB, it can be other tool as well, like Python, and you can include that results in the results section, right? You should not discuss how your results is better than other people. The discussion section is different section. It is a core or heart of the manuscript. So after seeing the abstract, it is a trend that the reviewer will directly jump into the results section and see what claim you have made in abstract, whether you are able to reach to that claim or not, right? So results should be paid a lot of importance other than the abstract. So next to abstract, after abstract, the next effort should be paid to the results, right? It should be very well written. It needs to be clearly and simply stated, since it constitutes the new knowledge or contributed to the world, right? So whatever efficiency you have reached, you should be able to show with the help of a graph, and you should justify that how you have reached that efficiency is, if you can say, is trustable, right? It should not be it should not be that the efficiency that you have got is simply by the manipulation of the data. That message should not come up to the reviewer or the person who is reading the paper. The purpose of this section is to summarize and illustrate the findings in an orderly and logical sequence without interpretation. So this we have already discussed. The text should guide the reader through findings, stressing the major conclusions, right? After this result section, we can have discussions. Common mistakes in the result section is a raw data, that is the data which is having no value. You have simply put that data in the result section. Redundancy, that means again and again you are explaining the same thing. Suppose if you have put the figure of efficiency, and again you are putting the figure of efficiency for explaining the same thing. So redundancies should be avoided. Discussions and interpretation of data, as we have discussed that for this there is separate section. Methods and material supported, so this should not be there. This should be in the technical section, content section. No figures or tables. In result sections, you should have figures and tables, right? So these are some of the mistakes in the result section. Then discussion, it is the hardest section to write. Why it is hardest? Because here you have to compare your paper with the other work which has been carried out in the literature, and you have to showcase that how your work is better in terms of quantitative analysis, that by how much percentage you have increased the value, what is the size on which you have done the experiment, so forth and so forth, right? So it is the hardest. Its primary purpose is to show the relationships among the observed facts. Try to present the principles, relationships, and the generalizations and the interpretations of the results. Show how your results and interpretations agreed or contrast with the previously published work, right? So this is very important. Discuss the theoretical implications of your work and possible practical applications. This can also be done. Suppose if you have done some certain work, and how that work can be implemented in future, or what are the possible applications of your work. But it can be in image processing, it can be in any other domain, right? What are the practical applications? You can include that in the discussion section. Suggestion for improvement and future research can also be, suppose you have reached a point where you are not able to, where you are, you can say you are in a state to say that this work can be done in the future, right? Suppose you have done the research on some system, and now you are saying after some improvement in the system, that then you can say that some work is all still remaining, which is the future scope of that work. So that can be also included in the discussion section. It should end with a short summary or conclusion regarding the significance of the work. Common mistake in the discussion combined with the results. So people generally they write results and discussion with the same thing. So that should not be there. The discussion should be separate. Broad statements, right? Like broad statement means general statement like we have reached the highest efficiency or maximized efficiency, right? So this like 99% is the maximized efficiency. So all of us know that 90 and after 99 also there is 99.1% is also possible, right? So 99 we have reached the maximum efficiency of 99%. Maximum is the word which is a generalized word, so you should not use that such words. Rather you should write that 99% of efficiency has been reached. Incorrectly discussing our inconclusive results. Inconclusive results are also one of the way of one major, you can say, reason for rejection of any manuscript, right? Inconclusive results means suppose you have claimed various things in the abstract and that you are not able to put the results for, then it will be one of the reasons for rejection of the article. Ambiguous data sources. Ambiguous means which are not trustable, right? So you should always, if you are using some data, so you should always refer to the you can say trusted sites, right? So that it can be accepted by all. Missing information. So you should look into that. Nothing should be missed. Whatever you have claimed in the abstract, you should be able to prove that. Poor interpretation of the concepts and results. So this is also one of the reasons or this is also one of the mistakes in the discussion sections. Now coming back to figures and tables. So figures and tables can be included in the introduction section. It can be included in the technical content. It can also be included in the results and sections and in the discussions as well. So figures and tables, generally I will say that figures, especially figures, it should be very well drawn, and you should use you can say suitable software to draw your figures. You should not use Paint and Word to draw your figures, right? Rather, you should use dedicated software. For example, Microsoft Visio is a very good tool to draw the figures, right? You should also not copy cut the figures from other papers or other Google, because doing copy and pasting it in your paper article, that will reduce the chances of acceptance, right? And that is also sort of, we can say, unethical things. So figures and tables. Tables are appropriate for large or complicated data sets that would be difficult to explain clearly in the text. So for that you can include a table. Table presents list of numbers and text in columns. Figures are the usual representation of results or illustration of the concepts. It can be in form of graphs, images, diagrams. Figures are appropriate for data sets, exhibits trends, patterns, and relationships that are best conveyed in visually. Suppose if you want to compare the efficiency of your algorithm and some of the other paper algorithm, then you can use the figure and show that the efficiency is coming better. Any table or figure must be sufficiently described by its title, caption, or legends, right? So, so figure should be, if you have included the figure, then you should give appropriate title to that figure, and you should also give appropriate title or caption or legend to the table to understand without reading the main text of the figure. Do not include. So suppose if you have included the figure in your paper, and if some person is not interested in reading whatever you have written, he is just interested in figure, so he should be able to get an idea what the figure is showing by just seeing by the title of the figure. Do not include both table and figure showing the same information. So that is again not required. The same thing you should not show in table and figure. Rather, you should only include either of them. Last section is conclusion. Conclusions are outcomes of the research. It should be discussed benefits and shortcomings of the proposed work. Repetition of the abstract in some possible ways. Suppose whatever you have claimed in the abstract, that you should conclude in the conclusion that you have reached to that, and you can write in that way. Summary of the main findings reported in the technical contents. Summary of the theoretical implications and possible practical applications of the proposed work. So I hope you get how to write a conclusion. So in a conclusion, the broad in a broad way, if you want to understand. So suppose if you have made some, you can say, if you have made some claims in the abstract, and you have also proved in the result section, then you can include in the section that whatever you have claimed in the abstract, you have proved that, and you are reaching certain level of efficiencies and improvement, that you can write in the conclusion section. Again, the conclusion should be of the same length. Should not be too large or too short. It should be of the same length of around 200 to 500 words, which should be in matching with the, or which should be in line with the abstract. So whatever you have claimed, finally you are saying that that is suitably proved in the article. Acknowledgement. Again, any significant technical help received from any individual, lab, or elsewhere, the source of special equipments, Any outside financial assistance or fundings that you have received, fellowships or internships, you can thank them. Do not write. So this is just for reference. Do not write use the word wish. Write I thank directly rather than I wish to thank. Right. So this is just a kind. You can thank them within the acknowledgement sections. Such suitable organizations or suitable persons. Now referencing is a standardized way of acknowledging the source. So references you will include these references you will cite in the introduction, and in an introduction you should always write in sequence order, right, in ascending order. List of all the references cited in the text must be written. Reference format. So these are some of the reference formats which varies in the you can say journal wise. So Harvard, one is Harvard format, next is alphabet number system format. So that depends on the journal on which you are planning to submit your article. So that information is provided in the journal website. You can go and check it there. So every journals are having their template in the Word or LaTeX. You can download their template, and there you will get various information, right? So that is not a big deal. Offenses in publications. So till now we have discussed what are the contents in the article, how we can improve the chances of getting the publication in journals. Now we will see what are some of the offenses in publications. So data manipulation and falsification. So this is one of the offense. Suppose in order to get higher efficiency, you have manipulated some of the data, right? So that is not the correct way. So that is an offense. Duplicate manuscripts. Suppose so this is a common among the students, especially BTech students. Suppose some article has been published in somewhere, and you have copy and pasted whole manuscript with different title. So again, you will be blacklisted from the publication, right? So your name will be blacklisted. That should not be there. Redundant publications. Redundant means same publication with different titles. Suppose if you have written one article, right, and you want to make you have put another same article with different title, or 3 articles with the same title so 3 different titles but the same manuscript. So these are also always redundant manuscript in 3 different journals, right? This is also an offense in the publication. Plagiarism is one of the most common offense that is also done by the, you can say, many of the researchers as well, right? So plagiarism should be avoided. And what is plagiarism? Plagiarism means suppose you have used some line of other person in your paper. Now, in order to avoid the plagiarism, you should give proper citation that you have used this paper, right? This line. The line should not be exactly same. Rather, you can rephrase it, right? You can rephrase that same line and write in your own paper, but you should give suitable citation, right? If you have not given citation, then it will count in a plagiarism. Similarly, if some figures are there in some other article, and if you want to use this figure in your article, then you can give the reference of other paper. Otherwise, that will count in a plagiarism, right? Plagiarism generally means without giving citation, proper citation. If you have not given the citation, if you have given the citation, then it is perfectly well. After rephrasing it, right? You cannot use the whole sentence again. That will count under the plagiarism only. Author conflicts of interest. So that is also one of the offenses in the publications. So this is the most common that is done in the research community, that is plagiarism. Others are also there, but plagiarism is the most common. What is plagiarism? Plagiarism is the act of presenting the words or ideas or images or sounds or the creative expression of others as your own, right? So as I told you, if you're writing some you can say some idea or some line from the other's paper, then you should give proper citations, and also you should rephrase it. You should not use the line or sentence as it is. This means that plagiarism is a fraud, pretending that the words or ideas in your research paper are yours, right? But it is not yours. Obviously, you've taken it from somewhere else when they are actually of someone else, right? So this is most common in the article, so that should be avoided. If you see in conferences, generally 20% or 20 to 25% plagiarism is allowed. Mostly, 20 to 25%. If plagiarism is above 25%, then it will not be considered for publications. And there are various tools which are available for doing the plagiarism check, right? Like Turnitin. In our library also, if you're from School of Electronics, you can go to the library. If you have written the article, you can go and ask the librarian or the person in the library to check the plagiarism. And after doing the, so there is a software, they will put your article in that software, and you will get, you can say quantitative wise, how much plagiarism is there, right? So before publication, every conference, this is conference and journal publication, every paper, this is the first step. This is the first step. They do the plagiarism check. If there is a plagiarism, that means firstly, they will not accept. Also, that will hamper your image, right? Since you have not published any paper, so that will not hamper your image, but your guide's image might be hampered. Okay. So next is type of plagiarism, paraphrasing plagiarism, also known as intellectual theft. Verbatim plagiarism. This is also one kind of a plagiarism. Duplication plagiarism, secondary source of plagiarism, replication plagiarism, invalid citation plagiarism. So these are some of the types of plagiarism. Ultimately, what plagiarism means, you cannot use anyone's else results, figures, or the data, or as well as the sentences without giving proper citations. If you want to use their, you can say results or any one of their lines, then you have to give the proper citations. If you have given citations and if you have rephrased it, then you are well within the then it will not be called as a plagiarism. But if you are not giving the proper citations, then I think you are pretending that their work is your work, then it will count in a plagiarism. Submission of manuscript. So generally, this is the steps. Suppose if you are the author, this is in the journal I'm telling, for journal publication. So authors writes an article and it submits to the, you can say, journal. After you submit, it goes to the editorial office, where there is a person who is called as editor, right? An editor, then they will assign 4 to 5 reviewers, which can be around the globe, but they will be working in the same areas. So 4 to 5 reviewers they will assign, and after a certain time, the reviewer will comment back and say and tell their comments. All 4 and 5 reviewers, they might be different, right? All of they are independent of themselves. Now, it is the work of the editorial office to assess what are the comments of the reviewer, and based on the comments of the reviewer, they will send you the notification whether your whether your article is accept or reject, right? Generally, in most of the cases, that is 80 to 90%, chance direct acceptance is not possible. Direct acceptance is not possible. Rather, they will ask for revision, right? In 80 to 90%, under revision, the editor will ask to revise the manuscript and according to the comments of the reviewer. So whatever the comments of the reviewer, let us say one reviewer has given 5 comments, so 5 reviewers have given 25 comments. So you have to address all the 25 comments, and then again you have to rebuild your manuscript, and you have to also create, apart from your article, you have to also create the response sheet where you will reply to the reviewer, right? And again you have to submit it to the editorial office. Again you have to submit it. What you have to submit? Article and response sheet. In article, you should be doing the changes what has been asked by the reviewers. They might have some query as well. They might ask to change some of the contents from the article, right? Some sort of things might be there. After that, they will send to the reviewer again, and this is the second time. The reviewer will see the response sheet and again go through the article and again provides the comments, right? And after reading again the comments, the editor-in-chief or the editor office will make a suitable judgment, and then again they will send back their comments to you, and they will make the decision whether to accept or reject the paper, right? And if it is accepted, then there is a different process which are involved. So generally, this is the process which is involved. Which is having author, editor, and reviewer. The authors and reviewer are not in contact, and if at all this is there, that is not, you can say, that is not ethical, right? Authors and reviewers cannot be in contact, right? This is a general rule. Now, what is the review time? So suppose if you have started work in the 6th semester, so in a way, I will assume that you are having at least 12 months to publish a paper, to write a paper. So in 12 months, in 6 months, you will do your own work and come up with some new things, right? So you are having 6 months for publication. Out of the 6 months, you can write, you can devote 1.5 months for writing a paper, right? So remaining will be 3.5 to 4 months. So you are having 3.5 to 4 months for publishing your paper, for example. So week 1 will be initially in screen. Once you submitted the paper to the journal, screening will be there. In screening, they will check the plagiarism. All things are there. In week 2, editor-in-chief screens and assigns the proper paper to the proper editor. Week 1.5, editors assigns the papers to the reviewers. After 6 weeks, review work will be completed by the adequate number of reviews. Then 1.5, then again sometime more will be there. Editor makes the recommendation. Week 1, editor makes the decision. So this is the timeline which is required. Generally, a journal publication will require at least from 2.5 months to 8 months. Also, it can take, right? If all the things goes according to the plan. So it will vary according to the journals and journals. Different journals have their different timelines. So you can go and have a look into the different journal websites. The above process takes about 12 weeks or 3 months in total. This happens about 70%. This happens to about 70% papers going through the review process. Evaluation process. A reviewer will evaluate your article to determine does it address the new, and so this is the some of the evaluation process. This is not related with the you can say the author, but it is related with the reviewer. Does it address a new and important problem? Is the material is origin? So these are some of the things that the reviewer will evaluate. Are the methods or rationale are valid? Do the conclusion make sense? Is it clearly written? So these are some things which will be looked at. Now this is just a second. So this is you can say review criteria of one of the journals. So you can see the reviewer have to fill this much amount of you can say assess the article in these points, right? And out of 5, this is for one of the journals. Do not consider this to be generalized, right? Every journals have their own you can say pattern, right? So 5 is the most good and 1 is the least good, right? So relevance to the themes. So suppose if you're doing the journal, if you're doing the research in machine learning, and if you're submitting your article in Power Electronics Journal, so obviously it is not having any relevance in the Power Electronics Journal. So if you're doing the research in the machine learning, you should submit in the journal which takes or accepts the paper of machine learning, right? So you can see that this is the first point. Relevance to the journal. Contribution to the academic debate. So does your paper contribute? Structure of the paper, how it is written, standard of the English. So this is also very important as far as the Indian subcontinent is concerned. Standard of English should be, there should not be grammatical mistakes, and tenses should also be looked into. Appropriateness and research methodology, relevance and clarity of the text, appropriateness of the abstract. You can see appropriateness and the number of keywords in the phrases, originality of the work, acknowledgement to the other, discussions and conclusions, relevance, reference list. So these are some of the points which reviewers mark, or which reviewers give the numbers. Apart from that, they also have some sections where they write here their own, you can say their own words. If they want to have some changes in the manuscript, they write and they write it in their own words, and the comments that you will get, you have to revise the manuscript according to their comments. If you're agreeing to, there are 2 ways, right? Either you can agree to the reviewer comment or you can disagree to the reviewer comment. Both are possible, right? It is not necessary that reviewer is right, is always right? Like the reviewer is the same person, can be the same person like you, right? He or she can also be wrong, right? So you can reject their comments as well. But if you're rejecting their comments, what they have made, then you should have proper knowledge and proper information. But because if you're rejecting because you don't know the solution, then then the results will not be in your favor, right? So you can accept a result, accept or reject the reviewer. Both the possibilities are there. Here are some of the you can say some of the reasons for rejection. Content is not a good fit. There are serious scientific flaws. Whatever you're saying is not possible. Poorly written. This is one of the reasons. Even if you are having some improvement, but it is poorly written, especially figures and all are not of that quality. It does not address big enough problem or advances in the scientific field. The work was previously published. The quality is not good enough for the journal. The reviewers have misunderstood the article. So this is also one of the you can say reason the reviewers have much misunderstood the article. So for that, the thing that you can do as an author is you should write your paper with utmost careful, especially the title and abstract, and conclusion section should be written very well. So some reasons are mentioned here. Paper is very similar to the other paper. Idea is not novel. 80 to 90% paper are rejected because of this. In good journals, right? In good journals, 80 or 90%, because the paper which the editor assigns to the reviewer, the reviewers are very knowledgeable persons. Suppose the editor assigns to 4 or 5 people. Out of these 4 and 5 people, two people might be the person who are working in the same field for last 20 to 25 years. So they are having a lot of knowledge, and just by giving a glance at your paper, they will be able to pinpoint whether this paper is good or not. And if they do not find the paper good, they will simply write reject. They will not give you any comment as well. Results are not significant. Results are not the state of the art. So unsupported claims made in the paper. That means if you have said something in the abstract that you will do, but you have not put the results, you have not showcased your results in good manner. Methods or circuits are not fully explained. Measured results are not presented. Poor grammar or use of English. Most reviewers looks for reasons to reject in a paper, not to accept it. Do not give them easy reasons. So you can see even most of the reviewers who reviews the journal papers, obviously they look for reasons to reject the paper, because for accepting the paper, if they accept the paper, it is on their name, right? So their name is on the line. So generally they reject most of the paper, and they look for the reason, right? So these are some of the reasons. Two slides I have included. So they looks for the reasons to reject the paper rather than to accept it, right? So it is in your hand not to give them any easy reason. Some useful facts: reviewer look for reasons to reject the paper. Do not give them reasons. Do not assume that you can fix the figures and text after the paper is accepted. So this generally this things people do when they are new, like BTech students or MTech students. They think that once the paper is accepted, they can revise the figures, but that is not the case. Write the papers in the present tense, right? The tense should be present tense. Do not overuse the acronyms. Reference all the relevant papers. Reviewers will not do literature search on all the papers by the authors. Be patient. Although the editor tried hard to return the papers, the authors as quickly as possible. Some paper may take longer, right? So these are some of the useful facts that you can see. I will share the slides. You can look into it later on as well. Now, what is the purpose of publication? The goal of the research is not to gather information and report on it, right? Research essay are assigned so that you can study certain topics, develop research questions, answer it using materials you have studied, plus your own analysis and interpretations, right? So generally, if you go for publications, you should have new knowledge to the field. The information you discover in your research is thus only the foundation, the first part of the task. What is more important is your ability to use the information to advance the world's knowledge, right? So this is the purpose of publications, and this is how we have progressed so far in our human development. So these are some of the references that I have used. At last, don't give up. Focus on the reasons to continue. This is what I will like to add at last. So let me, if you are having any doubt, you can ask. Else we will stop. Okay, so we have covered here some of the methods to write the research article. I will share the slides in the Google Classroom. You can all have a look. So if no one is having doubts, let me stop the recording.